Rugby Championship 2025 has been decided, folks, at Twickenham, and it is the BOKS who go back-to-back with their 2-point win over the PUMAS. It was a bit of a consolation try that got it back to 2 points, but still the PUMAS were pretty good value after coming off that 37-point walloping last week. Much improved effort from them. The BOKS, I think it was always going to be, it was never going to live up to last week. You're not going to score 67 points every week. But man, did their scrum just dominate. How many points directly come from that South African scrum? That was quite an unbelievable effort. The fact that a prop doesn't get man of the match in that game shows you there's no prop love. They give it to the halfback. But yeah, we'll go through some of the key events and stats of the game. Big congratulations up at front to the BOKS. I can hardly speak. It's 4 a.m, but had to watch this one live. And yeah, you guys can let us know your thoughts. A lot of green in the stadium, which is to be expected with some expat South Africans in that neck of the woods. And certainly a lot of fans would have travelled to the game, but I don't think it quite had the noise of being in South Africa, which makes sense because there'd be a whole bunch of neutrals there as well. And bad news for the Argentinians is their primary starting tight head prop, Sclavi, was a late scratching before the game. I don't know how much difference he would have made. Is he worth 2 points? Maybe. He's a very good player, but such is rugby. Sometimes players... Ox missed a game with a recent, similar late scratching, just last week. So sometimes that just happens. We didn't get to see Ox up against Sclavi. South Africa started the game not that well. They got yellow carded. Kane Moody with an upright tackle on Malia sees him go to the bin very, very early on. And Damian Willems has apparently got ice in his veins because there had been an Argentinian kick through just before that where he decided not to dot it down and wait for it to go out. I thought he was going to get a try conceded between his legs for a second when they called for the TMO, but no, it was back for the high tackle, which saw Moody leave the field. And Argentina immediately punish with the man advantage. They were looking to make the use of the width, which is really pleasing when a team's got a back in the bin. Spread the ball wide. They were using, kind of width-to-width plays. Carreras, wide ball to Delguy. Delguy's got the steps. Try time Argentina, 7 points to 0. Perfect start for them. However, the scrum from Argentina's point of view was looking hairy. It was looking ominous. If you're a Bok fan, it was looking very pleasing very early. Like, how many games have you seen a team get shoved off the ball for their own feed within like the first 10 minutes? These aren't even tiring props. This is the first 10-minute action. Argentina feed, the Bok packs just tramples them, pushes them straight off their own ball. And that directly leads to points because then Argentina have to defend and they end up giving away a high tackle penalty, so the BOKS slot it. So that's like 3 points immediately for the BOKS scrum, essentially. 3 points you wouldn't have got without that scrum, necessarily. Such a valuable thing. Argentina was still looking to play quickly, though, and with width, especially with the man still in the bin. They didn't opt for a 3-pointer on the 15-minute mark. It would have been a toughish kick. They opted to play, but they did get a better one a few minutes later in a better bit of field position. So that time they did take the points on offer, 10 points to 3 lead. But they had a couple of close calls. The BOKS were very close. Like Kobus Reinach very close to intercepting an Argentinian pass on like a 5-meter line out on their own goal line. He was unbelievably close. Could get himself a hat trick if that happens. But the Argentinians are able to just escape because they had to have a scrum from the resulting knock-on, but they just got the ball out. It was very hairy stuff for them. And then another one when Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu was getting himself into some space. Line break. It was reminiscent of last week, except this week, that kind of final ball that he chucks wide. This time it's a wide pass to Colby. It's just a bit too high. Colby's not quite tall enough to take that. The pass needed to be just a little better. That's the kind of thing that did click last week that didn't click this week, but the signs were there that it was looking ominous. Kanan Moody's a pretty lucky boy, I'll be honest with you, because he had a one-handed intercept chance a bit later on, which he didn't take, which it's a deliberate knockdown. In most games, I don't like the rule about deliberate knockdowns. I've been on the record as moaning about them many, many times. But the way they referee them, it tends to be if you stick your hand out when the other team's on attack and you don't catch it, you're going to get pinged. How he got away with that one, I'm going to partially assume is because he's already got a yellow and the ref is thinking, I don't really want to give a red card for that because then I'm going to be a big talking point. And I was already a big talking point last week at Eden Park. That's just my guess. You let me know your thoughts, but yeah, that seemed like that was a sanctionable thing based on the way we see other incidents similar to that get officiated. Not saying I want to see cards, I want to see 15 on 15. I'm not saying I like the way the deliberate knockdown rule works, because I don't, but just for consistency, that one they probably got away with. For Kanan Moody anyway. But yeah, South Africa on 32 minutes, they get their maul going, it gets advantage. They opt for a scrum 5 meters out. Why wouldn't you? The scrum has been so dominant. I thought like they're just going to push the Argentinians off, but they tried to kind of milk a free kick, the Argentinians, but the ref was too smart for that. That was a good bit of officiating. I don't want to just call out the bad officiating like Piatti was. He knew what was up because he knew that if there's a free kick, then the box can't opt for another scrum, right? So good call from the ref for that one. But yeah, they get the first one, wheels, it's a penalty. The second one goes down. It's another penalty against the Argentinians. And then we get Nokia held up. You're waiting for this try to come. Third scrum, they do get the go forward ball. The ball kind of bobbles out. Visa would normally control it. Can't do it, but Kobus Reinach, the veteran, he's Johnny on the spot, grabs the ball, pounces, and goes over for a try. So 13-10 at halftime. Pumas are in the lead. I don't know that many would have picked that. They've had more possession, but the Boks have had more territory. The Pumas have had more run meters and more clean breaks, but they've coughed up more penalties as well. The Boks, it's a little bit of that kind of age-old story in the games where they've been behind or had a less than stellar patch. It's the turnovers conceded. Like 9 of them to Argentina's 4, with only 43% of the ball. Yeah, it's just a bit too loose, a few too many errors from their point of view. You're waiting for it to kind of click, because when it clicks, they've been a really hard team to live with. Second half also starts poorly from Argentina's point of view, because they knock it on from the kickoff, and every time you see a knock on, you just see the body language change. Like, we don't want a scrum. Scrums have been horrendous. The scrum does concede a penalty. And then we get a yellow card for the Argentinians. Vivas with a shoulder to the head of Evan Etzebeth. Did I just call him Evan? It's Eben. What's the time now? 4:15. Still talking. I think if Vivas is one-on-one with Eben and he hits him like that, he probably gets red carded. But because he's like a secondary tackler, Eben kind of gets tackled into him. I think that's going to the bunker for a proper review. Made sense to me. Anyway, 15v14. The Boks punish straight away. Malcolm Marks from the maul did well to stay in field. Kobus Reinach was trying to help him out. Keep the big man in the field of play. Misconversion, but 15-13, the Boks go in front. They're not going to relinquish that lead. They bring on a couple of new props. What do for the next scrum? They immediately win a scrum penalty. That's why you've brought them on, to continue that pressure. And that leads to another maul chance, leads to advantage, and it leads to Reinach's second. Snyman with the offload from the deck for that one was pretty sweet. Gives Reinach the time to get into the space to go over for the try. So 22-13. And that's when it's starting to look like, this could get pretty messy for the Argentinians, especially when they had a couple of high tackles, one on Sasha Funberg and Gomezulu, one on Ethan Hooker. They probably could have been. They were just penalties, according to the officials. You know, on another day, maybe some of those ones are kind of 50-50s, but they at least spotted them. South Africa were trying to punish. It was a bit of a scrappy one, but they did get it done. Malcolm Marks His lineout kind of almost got stolen, but he was able to regather the ball that had been whacked down, phases, close range, and he goes over for a try. That's the 16-point lead, and I'm thinking, wow, this is really, yeah, this is going to get pretty messy pretty quickly for the Argentinians. But, what is it with Cheslin Colby? And he wants to gift tries to Argentina. Last week it was that drop kick play from the goal line dropout. This one's less controversial because he just passed it. Wide ball. It was almost like reminiscent of that 2018 game where Geordie Barrett took a quick line out straight to Villy LaRue. It was just, yeah, was it a brain fart? Bad pass? He bounced past it to Delguy. Delguy had some pretty good handling to pounce on it and the gas and the footwork to go over. 20 points to 29. Not quite game on, but the Pumas are only one score away from making it very interesting. They did have a couple of chances. They did have some momentum towards the end, but they just kept fluffing their lines. One pass over the touchline, Montoya's looking at his halfback like, what are you doing? There's another one where they lose a line out down in the box end, and then there's another one where they have a shot at goal, and it hits the post. That one had a couple of minutes left. You could have at least got back within a score. Not to be. They did get the final try. Nice kick from Santi Carreras to Iskro to get the try to bring it back to 2 points, but we're already at 82 minutes by that point, so the game is done and dusted. So it makes the scoreline a bit more respectable. It is certainly way more respectable than last week, so they've done some pride in the jersey, have the Pumas guys with this bounce back. But ultimately the BOKS, in a game where they didn't play anywhere near the level they did last week, and they just had a big scrum, which led to, I don't know, I want to count them, but a lot of points. Maul got going. The forwards, really fronted up in this game, but they couldn't get the kind of same slick backline stuff going as last week, but they still managed to get a win, didn't they? The game was done and dusted long before the 80th minute because there was a 2-score advantage. So, sign of a good team. If you don't play your best, still get a win. They win the Rugby Championship, and I think they're the best team. I don't think that's going to be questioned. I think the BOKS are pretty deserved winners. Pumas tried to give me a gift at the end as an All Blacks fan, but I don't know how I would have felt about that. Well, obviously, it would have been nice to see the All Blacks get it done, but yeah, the way that the BOKS have played at times during this Rugby Championship, they're still a pretty bloody good team. Run meters in this one finish evens, 406-406. Possession and territory are almost at evens. The turnovers conceded are still a few too many for South Africa, 16 to the Argentinians, 12. Clean breaks, 7-5 to Argentina. Defenders beaten 24-21 to Argentina. So some nice attacking numbers. But the scrum. Argentinians conceded 14 penalties. 7 were their props. That's how bad it was. Both lineouts were solid. Both tackle numbers were solid, which was a big issue for the Argentinians last week. Both sides made over 140 tackles. Kremer made 17 for his lads. Visa made 13 for the BOKS. Malcolm Marks with the turnovers as well. Forgot to mention those. He was wicked at the breakdown. Sasha still had 100 meters and beat like 5 defenders. But yeah, wasn't able to get like his hat trick of tries and the kind of link-up players last week. Delguy, 114 metres, 4 defenders beaten as well. Dude justified his selection for sure. That is the end of the Rugby Championship. So again, congratulations to South Africa. And we'll have to have a look at a team of the tournament and whatnot to wrap things up. Back into some club rugby. Then more tests in November. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It is 4:20 a.m. now as I record this, so I would love to have you guys along if you haven't yet. Take care of yourselves. After this video is uploaded, I'm going to bed. See you guys later.